let's talk about creating a fulfilling life in 2024, all with holistic practices. If you're new here, my name is Dr. Erica Steele. I'm a board-certified naturopathic doctor. I hold 6 degrees in my field, and they're all in the natural healthcare space. And I've been living a holistic lifestyle for, I think over 30 years at this point. It's crazy to even think. And so I really love teaching people about what it means to have a holistic lifestyle. And let me kind of get some things cleared up. Having a holistic lifestyle doesn't mean that you can't, let's say, eat junk food every now and again, or you can't, not work out, or, you can't, have a beer with your friends, or whatever those things may be. It's not this kind of, oh, holier than thou approach. And I think sometimes in the holistic space, sometimes certain holistic providers or practitioners kind of make it seem like you have to be perfect, or you have to do it all well, or you have to do it right, or all of those things. And I just really want to make sure that you understand that this is a practice and a lifestyle. It's not an event. It's not a one size fit all. It is literally a breathing, living organism, just like you. So if you're new to holistic practices, or if you've been seasoned and you've been doing it a long time, I'm sure you'll find definitely a lot of good content in this video. Before we proceed, if you are interested in really taking your life to the next level, all this month we are talking about really how to perform well. And what does that mean? What does that look like? We're looking at your time, your relationship with your time. We're looking at how you can utilize your time, overcoming procrastination, as well as strategic thinking and decision making. I have personally created these courses myself. I'm really proud of them, really excited about them. So if you are interested in really taking ownership of your time and really being 1,000% successful in this life in 2024, go ahead and click some of the courses below. All right, so now let's talk about incorporating these holistic practices. So I think we always go into a new year super excited, right? We're like, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then typically by like the end of January, it's like, wah, wah. All of the things that we thought we were going to do, we've lost motivation for. That's why New Year's resolutions often don't work. And that's why I don't really promote them and don't really talk about them on my channel. So let's talk about what it means to actually create this fulfilling life using these holistic practices. So the first thing that I am really going to touch on is really reclaiming yourself. I know for me in 2023, I moved out of the country. I left the United States and moved overseas to St. Lucia to be with my love. And it was a huge adjustment. And I really felt like I was almost abandoning the people back home in the States. I had friends, family, and patients that just literally did not want me to leave. I had vendors that literally did not want me to leave. And for me, treating 100 hours a week through the pandemic and, just really almost losing myself in healthcare, I really needed another way. I needed just a total revamp in my life. So as crazy as it was, I had to peel the Band-Aid off. And I had to make a drastic leap to leave the States, get out of the rat race, and move overseas. Now, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, you should plan for this. And, you got to make sure that this is done and that's it. And usually I am such a planner. But when the universe was like, you got to go, I listened. So here's the thing. I would say the first thing to incorporating holistic practices is choosing yourself. And many people will not understand what that looks like, what that means, what that sounds like, because you have trained the people in your life the current version of you. What I mean by that is there's a current version of you that is operating and walking around, and people get accustomed to that version of you. And that version may or may not be authentic. You may or may not be showing them who you actually are, meaning your likes, your dislikes, your wants, any of that. You may be camouflaging, self-abandoning, people-pleasing, all of those things you may be doing in order to, keep up with a trauma response or stay in survival or avoid those uncomfortable feelings of disappointing somebody else. And so I would say the first thing, again, I'm just going to reiterate, is choosing yourself. Now that you've chosen yourself, it's really about getting comfortable with yourself, with your thoughts, with your feelings. So I separate out typically thoughts versus feelings, because your mindset is one thing. That's all related to your conscious mind, your subconscious mind. It's all of those crazy thoughts that you're thinking. And those have to be monitored, believe it or not. You can't just let your mind run off of a leash all the time. It doesn't work, and eventually it can get you into some trouble, because your thoughts actually then create your emotions. And so then your emotions, good or bad. So for me, I was not taught to self-regulate my emotions. My parents, I love them to pieces. They did the best that they could, especially in that generation that most of us are from, is the don't ask, don't tell generation. It is the children are seen and not heard generation. It is the we don't talk about our feelings and we are just supposed to be strong and perform. My parents were Marines, so you can even imagine how much more that was. And so, I did not learn as a child that it was safe to not only feel my emotions, but express them. So I internalized them a lot. And so when I had an emotion, I didn't know what to do with them. I had one parent's strategy was to suppress them, avoid them, and deny them, meaning the emotions. And I had another parent who was modeling highly non-self-regulatory emotions, meaning they would go up and down and all around, and their emotions literally filled up the room, and we were all beholden to their emotions. And so I grew up with these two different dichotomies of like, okay, I'm going to avoid my emotions, or I'm just going to let my emotions run wild. There wasn't a talk of emotional intelligence, emotional resilience. And if you want to have a truly successful and fulfilling 2024, you are going to want to learn how to master your emotions. If you do not have emotional coping mechanisms or coping skills because you didn't learn them, totally get it. Understood. I have a course, actually 30 Days to Emotional Healing. It's all of the tools, techniques, and tricks that I've learned, again, over the last 30 something years to learn how to manage my emotions when I literally was given a paper clip and a rubber band and told to do something with it. All right, so now that we get through our mind and our emotions, let's talk about our habits, right? Because our thoughts and our feelings are then going to create our actions, and our actions are going to eventually create our habits and our behaviors and our lifestyle. And that is these building blocks that it requires in order to create this massively fulfilling, successful, dreamy life that you want to live. And so your habits can be very small or they can be very big. I tend to recommend with my patients to start small with their habits. So people come into my practice and, they've got, let's say, hypertension or diabetes, or they have an autoimmune condition, or they've been to every doctor under the sun and they're exhausted and they don't even know why they're sick because nobody has broken it down for them. And so I start off with every single patient, really slowing them down and helping them to get present to their habits, right? So what does that look like? How do you start your morning? What is your relationship with time like? Because again, if you don't have mastery over your time, your nervous system is just going to be in this constant fight or flight state, because time is kind of this experience, if you will, this tool that is always changing and always moving. And so if you don't master your time, you're not going to really have mastery over your nervous system. So we'll talk more about that kind of as the month goes on. So definitely check out some of my other content and like, share, and subscribe if you have not already for my channel. All right, so those habits. So once we kind of get that mindset going with my patients, I often work with them on just adding water. Just add water, right? Hydration is so important, and it's a habit that oftentimes people neglect. Again, two types of people. There are people who like live on water and like they drink tons of water all day. And then there's the rest of us, myself included, which we have to really think about water. It's not that we're drinking other things. It's just that we have conditioned ourselves not to be present to our own needs. And so we tend to neglect not only our emotions, but also our water as well. And so adding that water back in and making sure that we're hydrated is super important. I tend to have like 1 bottle a day that I'm like, okay, this is my bottle, right? So right now I'm working with like 1.5 liter bottle of water, right? And my goal for the day is to fill up that bottle twice. In the beginning, my habit was I'm going to fill it up once and I'm going to drink 1 bottle. And once I got really good at that and I built that, then it was like, okay, now I'm going to add a second one. So those little habits begin to build over time. Another habit that I definitely want to instill is taking time out, right? Not having to perform and not having to constantly be that girl Friday for everybody. Sometimes you have to detach from social media. Sometimes you have to go out into nature. I mean, I live in the beautiful St. Lucia. To be closer to nature, to be more disconnected, to actually be centered, because I've peopled for a long time. I practiced for 15 years in Virginia, and it was lots and lots and lots of people all the time. And that can be incredibly draining and really exhausting. So not only did I need to kind of remove myself from all that easy access, but I also needed to remove myself a lot from social media as well, not always being so fixated on what was going on and what was happening, but rather really taking that time out for myself to nurture, ground myself, love myself, and connect with myself. The last thing that I'll leave with you really, and I know I've gone through a lot, it's really about creating this strong foundation. So what does that look like in terms of creating a strong foundation? If you don't know what you want in terms of planning and preparation, and you don't have a clear vision about what it is that you want to accomplish this year, I would absolutely start there. Even before you get into the mindset stuff and the emotional stuff and the habits, you have to know exactly where you're going. Because again, if you don't know, like you wouldn't get in your car. I mean, some people do. You wouldn't get in your car and go, okay, I'm going to just travel up the road. Again, some people do. I used to love kind of getting in my car and clearing my head, and that's something totally different. What I'm talking about is if you want to have a completely successful, sustainable, and success doesn't necessarily mean like uber wealthy, whatever, like get rid of whatever you think success is and really create your own thought process of success. For me, success is having a balance between my personal life and my professional life. That's success for me. And for many, many years, it was just my professional life. And so I needed to revamp that. So a part of my sustainable, successful vision for my 2024 is bringing myself back into my life. I play the guitar. I am a musician. Those are things that I have neglected because I've had school and I've had responsibilities and I was raising a daughter, etc. And so I really have had to reclaim myself and really establish what it is that I want to create for myself in terms of success for 2024. So I'm so excited to be with you for this new year. I've been able to rest. I kind of took a break from social media in December, really just to clear my head and to really get clear about the vision that I wanted to create and bring to you. So all this month, for the month of January, I am going to really provide to you all of the amazing tools, techniques, productivity hacks, and all the incredible efficiency work that I have learned over the last 20-something years of being in business. And so if you want to take yourself, your career, your life, everything to the next level from here to here, go ahead and tune in, like, share, and subscribe for more.